In 1912, at the height of the British Empire, a man appeared in London with a claim so unsettling that parts of his testimony were quietly classified. He did not say he had visited heaven, nor did he claim to have seen it in a dream. He stated calmly that he came from there. What truly disturbed the authorities was not how heaven looked, but how it functioned. According to him, heaven existed as a complete and organized kingdom, operating beyond time, beyond power, and most shockingly, beyond money. The world of 1912 was ruled by empires, gold standards, banks, and colonies built on extraction and profit. The British Empire believed wealth created order and control. This belief was challenged the moment the man was brought in for questioning. Doctors expected delusion and police expected contradiction, but neither came. He was calm, articulate, and logically consistent. His accent could not be traced, yet his English was flawless. When asked where he was from, he simply replied that he belonged to the kingdom beyond death. He described heaven not as a spiritual fog, but as a functioning system, a kingdom built from light and structure combined. Cities of gold and white brilliance suspended above endless layers of brightness. There was no sun, he said, because light came from the kingdom itself. There were no shadows, no decay, and no aging. Everything existed in perfect balance. There was leadership, but no rulers, and order without enforcement. Nothing was forced, yet everything worked. When officials asked how such a kingdom sustained itself, the man revealed the most shocking detail of all. He said there was no economy in heaven. No money, no trade, no wages, and no ownership. Nothing belonged to anyone, yet nothing was missing. Scarcity did not exist because desire itself was different. Needs were perfectly aligned with purpose. In heaven, value was not created by labor or accumulated through work. Value existed through contribution. You did not earn your place. You participated in existence itself. There were no rich souls and no poor ones, not because everything was made equal, but because comparison did not exist. There were no rewards because no one needed incentives. Fulfillment replaced consumption. He explained that earth runs on fear of lack, while heaven runs on certainty of enough. That single difference, he said, changed everything. Without fear, there was no greed. Without greed, there was no exploitation. Work existed in heaven, but without exhaustion. Creation happened without pressure. Energy did not come from resources, but from alignment. Time did not control productivity. There were no deadlines, no urgency, and no anxiety. Things were created because they needed to be, not because they were profitable. This, he explained, was why heaven could never collapse. There was nothing to exploit and nothing to hoard. When asked why humanity could not adopt such a system, the man gave an answer that unsettled even the economists in the room. He said Earth worships accumulation, while heaven functions on release. The more humans cling to ownership, the poorer they become. In heaven, growth comes from letting go, not holding on. A system built on possession, he warned, will always collapse under its own weight. Weeks after these interviews, the man vanished. There were no records of his release, no asylum documents, no travel papers, and no death certificate. Newspapers stopped mentioning him, and official files were sealed. Within a few years, Europe was consumed by war, and the strange story of the man from heaven was buried under history. Whether he was a madman, a philosopher ahead of his time, or something else entirely remains unanswered. But the most dangerous idea he shared was not about heaven itself. It was the implication that a world without money, without ownership, and without fear might function better than the one we have built. If heaven truly exists as a kingdom beyond life, then perhaps the real mystery is not how heaven survives without an economy, but why we believe we cannot.